Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Now for today's video, I wanted to talk about the next Jurassic World movie. Specifically, what the United States military's reaction will be to these wild dinosaurs that have gotten loose on the mainland. So, by the end of Fallen Kingdom, Isla Nublar has been destroyed and a ton of the dinosaurs have broken into our modern world. This was a major plot point and focus of the original Michael Crichton novel that came with a plethora of animal attacks that the Costa Rican government was unable to really combat in their first days of exposure. But with that being said, one of the key differences between the original book and the last sequel is the fact that the dinosaurs did not just get out in Costa Rica. They got out in California, which is a very different location for the story. This was a decision made by Steven Spielberg after Colin Trevorrow and Derek Connolly's original idea to move them to Europe was abandoned. Now, with this new area for the animals to break out in, a very big question has been left on tons of people's minds after having seen the fifth movie. And that question is basically, what is the US government's reaction going to be? Now, most people seem to be under the impression that our military will immediately be sent out to the Redwoods and that we are basically going to blow them all away in a very short amount of time. With the amount of firepower at our disposal, it's not really crazy to think this at all in my opinion. However, I do think that we obviously need to take into account the fact that this very same government was just days earlier planning to go in and relocate the dinosaurs so that they wouldn't be thrown back into extinction during the early moments of Fallen Kingdom, which is kind of a big deal no matter how you really try to dissect the story. Still, the event of dinosaurs killing helpless people on the mainland is no joke, and after both Battle at Big Rock, which takes place approximately 1 year after the events of Fallen Kingdom, as well as the mention of the infamous attacks from up north that we heard of in that short, I think it's safe to say that whatever action the military took or didn't take early on didn't exactly get rid of all of the animals immediately. Now, I've seen a lot of people debating on whether or not this is realistic or something that would really happen in real life, with even a few people getting really heated and angry at the idea that any of the dinosaurs would have survived longer than a few days due to how much power and control that they think humans have over these dinosaurs. And I honestly love that conversation because it's so spot on to what the entire focus is in the original source material and of course the earlier Jurassic movies in general. This notion of human beings being unstoppable locomotives that will wipe out anything that we so choose to is the exact kind of hubris that Michael Crichton warned about in that first book, and it's the very kind of thinking that went into John Hammond, Henry Wu, and other people's minds when they created the animals in the first place.
Creation is an act of sheer will. Next time it'll be flawless.
It's still the flea circus. It's all an illusion.
When we have control again.
You've never had control. That's the illusion.
They had lysine contingencies that were put in place to kill the dinosaurs. They had motion sensors, concrete moats, and even a computer tally on all of the animals that were on the island at any given point in time. But in the end, that was the very downfall of why these dinosaurs got out in the first place. They didn't account for things like the animals switching sexes and breeding. They didn't think about whether or not to look for a number of animals higher than what they'd cloned. They didn't think it was even remotely possible for anything to get out without them knowing about it. But the reality of Jurassic Park's situation was that an entire colony of raptors had dug their way underground and made an elaborate nesting area where they would all raise their new young before venturing out to the arriving ships that came by Isla Nublar regularly to drop off supplies. There they'd all look in unison at the vessels like a flock of birds, each and every one of them waiting for their individual turns to creep on board, stow away, and escape. So when it comes to the following Jurassic Park movie and where exactly the filmmakers intend to go with these loose dinosaurs in the mainland, I personally do not think that the military is going to wipe them out by the start of the new film. The reason I say this is because there's still some animals out in the wilds of California 1 year later during the battle at Big Rock. And what's even more interesting is that we even see that the Nasutoceratops have already begun breeding. So they're kind of multiplying already. Now, even though I've said all of that, I do think that a majority of the animals that escaped in California are probably going to have been culled down or killed off by some sort of means before the next movie starts. Whether or not that's the military and Dr. Malcolm working to salt the earth of InGen's clones is kind of up in the air to me at this point. But once we get more evidence to suggest that they would be behind killing off some of the animals, I don't really want to assume that this will be the case. Another important factor that I think needs to be considered is the fact that the entire other half of these animals that were taken from the island have already been sold to various places all around the world. Remember that during the auction, all of the dinosaurs that the black market dealers bought were hauled away before the Indoraptor was brought out, and that was supposed to mark the halftime point of the show. So really, with all of those scaly guys being dispersed everywhere so quickly, it's kind of hard for me to believe that our government would be able to kill all of the animals that got away, let alone even find most of the ones that were sold. Still, I'm going to be very interested in how this is touched upon in the following film. Filming for Jurassic World 3 starts in literally just a month from now, so anything is possible as far as we all know. And whatever direction they choose to take this new sequel in, I'm also going to be extremely curious as to how Alan Grant and the others are going to feel about the new Jurassic World that they live in. Now, before I go, I'd like to thank all of my game wardens, as well as all of my InGen executives. I'd also like to thank all of my park workers and InGen hunters as well. Guys, it seriously means the world to me that you all continue to support what I do, and I never want you to ever forget that. Now, I'd like to thank you all for watching today's video. If you feel like I deserve it, I'd appreciate the like and hope that you'll all consider subscribing if you're interested in hearing from me again. See you all in the next video, guys, and as always, take it easy.